Dear Family, I'm writing to you from my crisp, adorable floral print Papier notebook. You'll know it's me because it has my name across the front, which I love. I'm also obsessed with my personalized stationery cards. They scream, this fattie's important and chic. Papier works with leading artists and brands to offer an unrivaled collection of notebooks, planners, cards, and invitations delivered straight to your home. Go to papier.com and save 15% off your first order with code SHESALLFAT. Get free delivery in the US on all orders over $75. That's papier.com with code SHESALLFAT. Sincerely, Sophie. I'm sitting here with my CBD oils, so excited to tell you all about Rosebud CBD. I've talked before on the show about how I use CBD oil to manage my anxiety. A lot of people also use it to manage chronic pain or to sleep better. Rosebud CBD is dedicated to giving you the best CBD no matter what you're using it for. I love my cute little CBD oil. I use it twice a day to stay chill and calm. They keep direct relationships with their farmers to use the best ingredients possible, and they're all about being transparent with their customers. So whether you're a longtime CBD user looking to try it out or find more about their supply chain, head to rosebudcbd.com. Use discount code SAFLOVESROSEBUD for 15% off your CBD oils and salves. That's SAFLOVESROSEBUD at rosebudcbd.com. I'm Sophie.
I'm April.
And this is She's All Fat, the podcast for body positivity, radical self-love, and chill pipes only. This week, we'll discuss fatties on Instagram, I'm Baby, and astrology memes. I'll talk to meme makers at Fat Baby and at Memes for Validation. What do you think, April?
We'll see about that.
Uh-huh.
Calling body posse sisters. Hush those diet culture whispers. We like your body big or small. Rolls and ripples all for all. Sit on down, it's time to chat. She's all fat.
All right, April. Tell me those obsessions.
What's up? I'm back again. Okay, I'm pulling up my list. How are y'all? I hope well. I have a cold as usual, but otherwise, I'm alive. Okay, I'm back, and these are my obsessions. Number 1, new Netflix show called Dead to Me. It might just be the algorithm, but when I opened Netflix the day the show came out, Netflix was like, listen, bitch, click, like, this is where you're going to watch. It's kind of like the algorithm was like, right here, ma'am, take a left. You're going to be directed directly to Dead to Me. And I was like, we'll see about that. 10 minutes in, I freaking love it. Okay, so here's the concept. Christina Applegate, which, side note, Christina Applegate used to be the Gerber baby. Look it up. So Christina Applegate, former Gerber baby, is attending a grief group because her husband just died. Okay, so Lynn and Cardellini meets her at this grief group, and stuff happens. They are in interviews. I don't want to give any spoilers, but in interviews, they're describing it as a traumedy. So, like, it's funny, but there are a lot of scenes of women just alone in hallways sobbing hard. And I really like that for some reason. I like those, bleak. I like a bleak show. So I enjoy that. The acting is great. I also, if you know me, I like shows about, rich white women. So it takes place in Laguna Beach. I love that. It just has all my favorite elements, and every episode ends with a cliffhanger that most of them genuinely got me. And, I'm someone who, critically watches television. So I'm into Dead to Me. I would recommend it if you, too, like rich white lady shows. If you like Big Little Lies, you're going to want to watch Dead to Me. If you really like Christina Applegate, if you watched Samantha Who and you were obsessed, which I was, you're going to want to watch Dead to Me. And if you just like shows about complicated female relationships, go to your Netflix. Next obsession. So the Met Gala happened this week. It'll be a little later once you hear it. And the theme was camp. And a lot of people did well with the theme. A lot of people completely fumbled the ball. thinking about the theme, all I could think about was if I were ever invited to the Met Gala and the theme was camp, I know exactly who I would go with because I love camp. I grew up on so many campy movies and so much campy culture, and I would go as Wesley Snipes in To Wong Foo. And then I realized, does everybody know about To Wong Foo? Please forgive me if I've raved about it on the podcast before. I'm sure I have. But in my mind, the perfect encapsulation of To Wong Foo is camp because it's about drag queens, and of course drag culture recently has become no longer camp, but previously it was camp. And also just like the story, I feel like camp has a lot to do with like underdogs, going from underdog to superstar. Like that is the encapsulation of camp. So all that to say, I feel the movie To Wong Foo encapsulates my idea of camp, and if I were thinking about an outfit, that's immediately where I would go. I think that movie is perfect also. But so I'm not going to name any names, but I just think certain people need to take themselves less seriously when it comes to the Met Gala and just like relax and have fun, because if I was famous and I knew I was only going to be famous for a limited amount of time as a woman in Hollywood, I would have so much fun at the Met Gala, and especially with camp. I would go over the top. I would be like, I'm Wesley Snipes, in my full drag, and I'm crying. Like I would be on the red carpet crying with no context. And to me, that is camp. Being in full drag crying is camp. So I would have had more fun with it. I just wanted to remind everyone to watch To Wong Foo. I'm still obsessed with that. Will be forever. Those are my thoughts on that. That's my final obsession from this obsession dump. I hope you had fun. I had fun. Okay, Soph, take it away.
Nice. Okay. My brief little obsessions for this week. Number one, y'all know that I love Reply All. I think they did a really good job in this most recent past week's episode. They did a little investigation into the origins of like when people say yas on the internet and stuff. Because in the episode before, they were asked about it. Like one of the producers asked the other one about it, and he was like, oh, it's just an internet thing. And that really like ignored the whole like Black queer history behind it, basically. And so instead of just going like, oh yeah, I messed that up, or instead of just ignoring it, they interviewed someone who was in Paris is Burning and did a whole little second half of the episode about it, which I thought was really nice. And like, kudos to them. We'll link that show in the show notes. It would be really nice if every time we mess up, we have the like production team abilities to just do a whole half episode investigating it. Would love that. So that was cool. Like item wise, I've been real into kombucha this week, trying to get my probiotics up or whatever. We'll see how that goes. Okay, another thing related to this episode that I've been thinking about is kind of like personal memes. Like basically these are inside jokes, I guess is like a more popular word for them. But I just think it's fun to learn what the little things that are big references for you and your group of friends that like nobody else might know. More like the little things that you saw in a movie or a show that for some reason just really hit you the right way that like occur to you all the time. For Lindsay, for hashtag sorry Lindsay, for some reason when she was little, there's like that part in Mulan where the dad is like practicing his sword moves or something. Mulan is watching him not do a good job because he's old and, preparing to go back to war. And then he like stops because he like gets a muscle twinge and he goes, oh, and drops the sword or whatever. And that's why Mulan is like, I have to sign up in his place. But for some reason that like, sound like really got her. Like she thought it was really funny. So sometimes she'll refer to that, and I know that she's talking about that and like cracking up, but I don't think anyone else, like nobody else would assume that was what she was referring to. Another one between me and Lindsay is there is this one sketch that we'll link to in the show notes that's from when one time Will Ferrell was on SNL, and he did this sketch that's like a Broadway review, singing songs. His character is like a middle-aged man singing songs that are written for young like ingenue female characters, but doesn't realize it. And the songs that the like SNL writers made up are so stupid and funny. And sometimes I get it stuck in my head. I don't know why I don't know that this sketch is actually a great sketch. It just really hit us as funny when we watched it in college. And so there's this one part where he dropped the clip where he goes like, I went to the cupboard, we were all out of jazz. Who took the last of the jazz? Like, goes on from there. Maria, drop the clip.
I went to the cupboard, we were all out of jazz. Who had the last of the jazz? If you finish the jazz, you're gonna tell somebody, or at least replace the jazz with some metal.
And then finally, just for myself, I don't think I share this with anyone else. It's just a personal meme for me, is in Singin' in the Rain, when the like silent movie star who has like supposedly a terrible voice or whatever is talking about someone, and she goes like, I can't stand them.
And I can't stand them.
Sometimes when I'm annoyed at someone, that comes into my head. Just like, I can't stand them. Like, no reason. If I said it out loud, nobody would get it, but it's just a personal meme for me. I don't know. So I guess let me know what your personal memes are. I'm curious. Next, we have our Apple Podcast review shoutouts. Thank you so much to the following people who left us a review on Apple Podcasts. We do go in and look at those and feel good about them. So thank you for leaving us a review. Football Fan 9087542, KTL8, J Alley 012, Brittany or MSB4, DJ ACQSIRK, and K Noobs. Thank y'all so much for leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. And we'd like to say thank you and give a shout out to our patrons, our wonderful patrons who support us. And we could not do this without you. We are an independent production. We depend on your support. And you get a lot of extra goodies. You get extra audio and all sorts of stuff. So thank you to the following people. Alex, our friend Alex, who's been on the pod. I'm not going to say her last name. Alexis Fleckenstein, Labs Fraser, Emily Klur, Kathy, and Shannon Allen. Thank y'all so much. Moving on to corrections, news, tip jar, etc. I want to say sorry. You know who you are. This very sweet person reached out to me on Instagram and asked me to do like a little interview thing for a college project. Usually I say no to these because I don't have that much time. I said yes for some reason, and then I ran out of time. So I'm very sorry to this person. Thank you for believing in me. I'm sorry I let you down. Don't ask me to do interviews for projects because I'm bad at time management. I'm really sorry. I suck. But I hope this little shout out and helps make you feel better, and I hope that your project went well even without me. Okay, call for submissions. Lynn, our junior producer, is doing an episode on fatness in college. So our college family, we want to hear from you. Look on the Instagram for more details. We want to hear your experience being fat in college. So send those voice memos in. We are looking forward to that. Okay. This week in our Patreon Facebook group, which you can join if you're on Team Paisley Moo or above, people are talking about fat phobia in academia. They're talking about fat spin classes, and they're talking about bikini tops. So if those combos sound fun to you, consider joining our Patreon at Team Paisley Moo or above. And we also, for Team I Love Bread, we have a 15-minute at least mini-sode every week. That's just for our special patrons at Team I Love Bread. Here's a little clip from that. This week, it is a little game we played with one of our interviewees, Memes for Validation. We asked her to describe and talk us through some of the memes that we found on Instagram that we really liked. So here's a clip.
Like, I feel like at any point, this woman in the painting and me are going to do some extremely white noise. Like, we're about to be like, woo! Or
Exactly.
like, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, we're about to go just like, yeah! Or something, you know? Like.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the meat of it. So before we get into the meme of it, we've got to figure out, what is a meme? I'm going to drop a few succinct summaries from the internet of what a meme is from the Oxford English Dictionary and from a TEDx talk by critic Shantavia Johnson.
The word meme is most often used today to refer to something often humorous in nature that is copied and spread rapidly by internet users, be it an image, video, or piece of text.
Memes are scientific units of cultural information, and they are using us. Memes are using our brains and the internet to spread themselves as widely as possible online. And sometimes there are ideas attached to those.
Cool. Y'all know our junior producer, Lynn? She helped write a ton of this episode, and I'm going to hand over the mic for her to talk through a few of her favorite memes.
Hey, it's me. That name you hear in the pod credits and the one always talking about college. Let me tell you about the best meme in the world.
I smell like beef. I smell like beef. I smell.
So this is a video from 2014. It's this little baby girl named Katie Ryan being recorded by her mom, just being like a freaking weird little kid who smells like beef. And that's it. Like, there's no text or context or anything. But like, everyone knows what you're talking about when you're like, I smell like beef. And for some reason, that's the funniest thing in the world to me.
I smell like beef. I smell like beef.
Okay, this next one.
Can you believe?
Is Jonathan from Queer Eye. The meme is just like it's a gif of him like just tilting his head and like looking really shocked. You can probably imagine what he looks like hearing it. It's super memeable because it can be applied to like any context. Like the best one is from the Twitter user @SouthernHomo, who you should follow, and the text says, Christians after Jesus rises again on the third day.
Can you believe?
I love that so much. And then I'm gonna drag myself with this last one. It's a good example of a kind of like blank slate meme from some like weird cartoon. So this was originally tweeted with no text by @Sulera. I'll link it in the show notes. And it's this like pale little kid scrunched up in a corner writing frantically in a diary.
Dear diary, no one feels pain as deeply as I do. No one suffers like I do. I am different. I am alone.
And then a million people started commenting like, my Scorpio friend, or Scorpios are all like, and then the original account literally tweeted, can y'all please stop quoting this with zodiac signs? Lol, thanks. But I have to say, like, as a Scorpio, Sophie, maybe you can relate. I can think of many times where I've written exactly that, like, scrunched up in a corner somewhere with my journal. I think that I'm at a really interesting age because as a borderline millennial / Gen Zer, although you know I would never mark myself Gen Z, I've been surrounded by target age audiences for different types of memes since middle school. I remember in middle school it was like a crude like video game online picture memes, like that was what was happening. And then in my high school, memes grew out of just like pictures, and they were like things. Like I remember my high school did the Harlem Shake. I obviously didn't participate. And then now that I'm in college, it's shifted to like Twitter memes are what's popular. And like my friends made like a Carleton College meme page where they take like popular memes and then make them relevant to our college. And like when I'm catching up with my friends from home, like I'll often be like, oh, like did you see this meme? Or like, oh, it's like I'll explain things by being like, oh, it's like this meme I saw. Or like part of staying in touch now is like tagging each other or like sending each other memes. So I guess they're really important to me. Sophie, please tell me that memes matter.
Yes, Lynn, memes do matter. Let me tell you some more. There's been a lot of really interesting writing about memes recently, as we're looking at ourselves as a society. I'm reading this one Wired piece about memes. It's linked in the show notes, of course, and it starts with the idea of a hive mind, which is sometimes this thing in zombie movies or like movies about AI being really scary and interconnected and a bunch of people or things or monsters all thinking and moving at once. Sometimes on the internet, in real life, the hive mind can be a scary thing. Like trolling campaigns can function as a hive mind of hate, which strips away the sense of individual responsibility someone might feel for doing something objectively atrocious, like harassing someone or sending death threats. In memes, though, a hive mind is more about a shared cultural understanding, with individual minds adding detail or little jokes or something new to make a cohesive whole. Like a real hive, like honeybees.
Bees. All right, here they come. Back out. The way that they are attacking, there's no doubt about it. They're a living monster.
Wait, that's the wrong bee documentary. How about this one?
Bees are so organized, like just to see the way their hives are set up. Just every single bee has a job, seeing what they're doing. They're just diligent about what they're doing. It's amazing to see how everybody just works right along, and it works. It works.
There we go. Memes work because people are building and building on them, adding their own takes and heightening their joke or idea. This is how niche meme accounts thrive. In addition to creating original memes, they can gain popularity by using already popular memes as a template for their particular meme subset. For example, when we make memes at SHESALLFAT, we'll add a body posy twist on them. That's our niche. It also happens to be the niche of our two guests today.
So my name is Paige Panetta. I am Memes for Validation on Instagram. I mostly post things on my meme account about being fat, being depressed, having anxiety, and everything in between.
When did you start memeing? Like, what got you into it?
So it's going to be 2 years next week. And I did it because I used to look at memes all the time on Instagram, and they were so relatable, but they weren't relatable enough. So I was just like, oh, I could totally do that. Like, that's so easy. Like, anyone could do that. Not everyone could do it. It was really hard, but I ended up figuring it out. It also was like a coping mechanism kind of way, like with like depression and anxiety. Like, it was like a great way to let out your feelings on like that platform.
And how many followers do you have now? Like, you have a pretty big account.
Yeah. Right now I have 33.2K.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's it been like as it's grown? Like, how do you feel like it's changed?
Yeah, it's definitely, at first, I was like in college, like super depressed. So it was like really depressing stuff in the beginning. And then as like I got a little older and like finished college, it ended up being more like relatable and funny. Once I got into body positivity, then I started getting into the fat memes.
Fat memes. Got it? Like the niche thing I was talking about earlier, but Paige also makes memes about mental health and being queer. And to make these topics accessible and more relatable, Paige will build off other meme templates. That way people already understand the outlines of the meme, and then she gets you with the radical body positivity. Can you talk about like your journey that you mentioned between like more non-specific memes to like more body positive or like fat positive things, and like does that specificity feel different when you're creating them?
Yeah, before, when I was doing more mental health memes, it was more like I was following the trends of other pages that I was following, and it just like started getting really repetitive. And then I put out a fat meme once and everyone loved it, and I was just
what was it?
Well, this one was last month. It was when you claim you're an intersectional feminist, but your raging fat phobia tells us otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of people sent that one to me.
Yeah, that one got like a lot of interaction, and I was like, you know what? This might work.
When you're thinking about it working, does that mean like what does that mean to you? Because being forward facing about fat positivity it's not exactly a way to get like
love.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, when you say it works, like, what does that mean for you? Like, it strikes a chord, or, like, people identify with it?
Yeah, I definitely get a lot more discourse in the comments. A lot of people fighting with each other, with me, or praising it, or just being confused and like wanting to be educated. And I think it's a good discourse to start on Instagram with a meme that a lot of people are seeing.
Do you ever go into the comments or do you stay out of there?
No, I usually do go in the comments. At first, like, I was like very afraid because I didn't want to get made fun of or attacked. But then I kind of developed a thicker skin and was just like, I'm going to tell you exactly why you're wrong. And I didn't care what they thought or what they said. So I do go in the comments and they do get mean, but that's okay.
I want to go back to the hive mind thing and figure out what exactly makes a meme funny. You can kind of break the humor down into relatability. Like, the most basic memes are like reaction gifs. The one of Raven Simone chewing her gum and darting her eyes back and forth. You know that one? Like, that expresses an emotion very clearly, but in a way that's different from words. There are more complex forms, like labeling memes. That's like the boy looking over his shoulder meme, like the, cheating boyfriend meme or whatever. That's where you can say a bit more than a reaction meme because you have multiple characters. It's like a little story you get to tell. And beyond there, there's a world of really weird, surrealist meta memes. These ones sometimes you get and it feels like really good. Like, wow, I thought I was the only one. And then it has 500 likes and you're like, cool. Or sometimes you see one and you're like, what? Like, that does happen to me. Sometimes I see memes and I'm like, I have no idea what this is talking about. I asked Paige where she thought she fit into this little galaxy of memes.
My favorite kind of memes are starter packs. I think those are the funniest. Because when you look at them, you're just like, I know that exact person. And it's hilarious. Or I'm exactly like that or whatever. Yeah. I'm also the reaction image, like with the text on top and the photo on the bottom. And then I also really like the one, like the boyfriend cheating one, where you have like a big picture of a bunch of people and you're labeling.
You label it, yeah.
Like, this is my anxiety, this is me, and this is me not doing anything about it. Those are my 3 top ones.
I think memes popularity right now really has a lot to do with why astrology is popular right now. Like, they feel very related to me in that I think people are just looking for categories to sort themselves into or ways to talk about themselves. It's all just people looking for shorthands. I mean, that's part of the reason I love things like memes or astrology or even like personality tests. It's less that it taps into some universal truth and more that I think it's just tools for people to express things or to like get ideas out, And memes are very accessible. Like, some of them can be very sophisticated, but they're also very accessible to anyone who has an internet connection, basically.
Yes, definitely. Instagram's free.
It's like you have to have a phone, or whatever.
Yes.
But everyone can be on Instagram and be introduced to various things. Have you seen in those comments of sections of especially your body positive or fat positive memes, have you seen people get educated or like learn things and like grow from them, do you think?
I think that they learn some things. Like, they're not gonna learn all about body positivity in one day, but they might learn a little bit.
They might have their opinions challenged at the very least, which is a start,
Yeah.
So when we talk about like you did a fat positive meme and then you felt like encouraged to continue doing them, do you feel like creating them has helped you bolster your own fat positivity or like self-image? Talk about that interaction a little.
Yeah, definitely. When you get a lot of people cheering you on and telling you that they have the exact same experience, you feel a lot less alone. And just the past year in general, I've been getting a lot more body positive. Like, I don't care what's flattering, I don't care what people think of me. I'm just like, I'm gonna wear the wide leg jeans even though they probably make me look a lot bigger, but I think they're so cute, so I'm gonna wear them. And I really think that the meme account is like a big part of my confidence levels.
And why is that? Why do you think that happened?
Just like being so vulnerable on Instagram is like a blessing, but also a curse. Because like I have friends who follow it and I'm just like, oh my God, like don't listen to me. Like, this is for strangers.
What about being vulnerable to strangers about it is like easier than being vulnerable to your friend? What about that allows you to get further into body positivity stuff?
I don't know any of these people, so like part of me doesn't care what they think, but I also like completely care what they think. Like, if they're cheering me on, like I'm just like, yes, I love you, thank you. It's just like it's such a different atmosphere when because everyone on my meme account is like pretty much on the same boat as me, where my friends aren't on meme accounts all the time. So their perception of the internet is different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
Being vulnerable to all these people is like super therapeutic.
I think for me, starting to talk more publicly about fat stuff, it allowed me to become more confident or become more able to be vulnerable about it. Did you find that too? Like that it's not just like you start talking about it and you stay the same level of it. I feel like talking about it in public makes you get like more radicalized.
Yes, definitely. My girlfriend's fat too, so we're just like, we go everywhere and we're just like, we're fat, we need the fat seats. Give us the fat seats.
That's amazing.
We're very we like to do things that are good for the fellow fats. We always say that.
I love that.
Whenever we go to the restaurant, we always like rate like the chairs and we rate the seating and we're like, is this good for the fats? And we like discuss it.
I love that.
And it's fun. It's a good time.
Can I just say, what a dream to be in a queer fat relationship. So now that we have some meme basics, a starter pack, if you will, I wanted Paige to give us a verbal description of one of her body posy memes.
I did a starter pack that was called Shit Fat People Have to Endure.
Oh my God. So I posted this to my story and so many people were like, oh no, like... It's so relatable. So just to like review for my mom, a starter pack meme is like, you know, if you get a starter pack from any kind of company, then it's going to have the things you need to start that kind of hobby or start, you know, you can get a starter pack for growing your own vegetables outside. You'll get like a bunch of seeds and instructions or whatever. So the idea of a starter pack is that it has all of the core components of a particular group of people or a particular experience, something that's not actually something you can buy, just like it's called a starter pack, but it looks like a fashion flat lay, and then it's just like random things that remind you that experience. So describe this one to us.
So if you grew up fat, you have worn a cold shoulder t-shirt in your life. God. From Lane Bryant, it was probably sparkly or something along the lines.
Yeah.
So we have that. We have just Lane Bryant and Tord in general.
Yes.
We have shaving cream because summertime was really hard for us.
Yes.
I have a picture of an auditorium seating with a big red X over it because we cannot sit in them. High school was so hard when we had to go to assemblies.
Yes.
There is also a Google search for wide width shoes.
Oh my God.
Because those are
that was so triggering. I was like, oh my God.
It's hilarious. There's also a text message that says, you look so good. Have you lost weight?
Oh my God.
Just like that.
Yep.
There is The Biggest Loser because who didn't watch that?
Oh my God. We all did.
Weight Watchers, Lean Cuisine. There's a Diet Snapple, peach flavored specifically. Me and my girlfriend believe that.
I don't know why. I saw that and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
did we all have the same experience?
Literally. I don't understand.
My grandma used to shove those down my throat when I was a child.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I drank so many of those. I don't know why.
I mean, they're kind of good. I'll still reach for one.
Like, they are good. It's just very weird to me that that's
a shared experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay, there's also one of those Premier chocolate protein shakes that are disgusting.
Yep.
A Diet Coke, because I love Diet Coke.
Yeah.
There's also an eating disorder self-assessment quiz.
I love this kind of meme for fat people because it's like, for a lot of things in the fat experience, you wonder, is this all fat people or is this my secret or something that I feel embarrassed about or even something nice? Like, you don't always know if something is a shared experience. And from this, you can just know it was all of us, or at least a lot of us. I started realizing this just talking to other fat people and then, of course, talking to April and starting the pod. When you finally start to talk to other fat people about being fat, it's like a whole new world opens up. Some of that connection can be really hard.
like fat activism can feel intense and serious at times. And, doing this work can also get into some introspection and trying to, work on your own internalized fat phobia, or even other things like, internalized whiteness or like internalized colonialism stuff that we're always working on trying to deconstruct if you're a white person in America. So it can be a really joyful thing to kind of look at these pages like memes for validation and laugh about parts of your experience that feel connecting and less like hard work than a lot of these other things. The thing is, this really effective equation for relatability, it can also be kind of dangerous. For one thing, there are white supremacist spheres on the internet thriving and recruiting through memeing. These groups work through the meme model of replication and iteration. Like Paige said, that way your audience is drawn into the new thing you're saying by the things they already understand. For a really good example of this, there are two Reply All episodes, number 77 and 81, which we've linked in the show notes. They're about how the Pepe the Frog meme was taken up by white nationalist racists and Trump supporters, and kind of talks about how that happened in the 2016 election. So during those iterations, some memes lose their initial context. Like when people use the Pepe meme to support like Nazis, they're not thinking about its origin from a stoner comic, and that stoner comic origin kind of ceases to be relevant to the current iteration of the meme. Like you can't really reclaim it, once it's gone Nazi. I wrote about this last year for The Verge, but in kind of an opposite situation, how an initially fat-phobic meme lost its context, and it turned into a meme that kind of felt body positive to a lot of people. Maybe you've seen it. It's the absolute unit meme. It's pretty simple, just a picture of a chubby cat or a fat squirrel or something, and then the comment, absolute unit, or what an absolute unit. Cute, right? Where it came from, less cute. The original picture was a large man standing behind the Queen of England with the caption, "In awe at the size of this lad, absolute unit." All this original tweet is doing is gaping at the size of a real person and noting how weird or non-standard his body is compared to the quote-unquote norm. And what sucks is that you can't take a piece of culture like this and set it apart from the context. The body-shaming origin of the absolute unit meme is still there in every iteration of the meme. So then, even if someone shares it wanting to be body positive, there's no full assurance for me that this person is truthfully, harmlessly affectionate towards all kinds of big, round bodies like mine. So there's a hard truth to meme, even though I love them. You can still love them. Memes are made with social and cultural consciousness, and they're kind of this sweet spot of education and humor. You just have to kind of think about them a little bit more than it might seem at first. So, coming up after the break, we'll talk to the creator behind an account that focuses on education and humor, specifically only around body positivity. Today's episode is sponsored by Vanilla Co. Y'all, I love makeup and creating fun looks, but you know what I don't love? Taking all of that makeup off at night. It's so boring and not fun. That is until I met Clean It Zero by Vanilla Co. This stuff is the holy grail of makeup removers, meaning it's also a cleanser. Usually I just pick one or the other and my skin suffers, or I have to use more than one product. With Clean It Zero, I can melt my makeup away in under a minute and it never leaves my skin dry or tight. The only thing tight about Clean It Zero is the skin-loving ingredients. There's no sulfates, there's no alcohol, there's no artificial coloring. See it for yourself at vanillausa.com and save 10% off your purchase with promo code SAF10. Right now they have free shipping, so hop on it. That's vanillausa.com, promo code SAF10, and hop over to our Instagram to see how much I love my Vanilla Co. Clean It Zero cleanser. We've talked about our counselors on the pod before, and we're all about unpacking our feelings. That's why we want to talk about BetterHelp Online Counseling. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are specialized in depression, anxiety, relationships, family conflicts, LGBTQ stuff, and more. All that good stuff. BetterHelp lets you connect with your counselor conveniently and safely in a confidential online environment.
You could do it in your PJs, which is sometimes how I show up to therapy anyways. Sign up today to schedule secure video and phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist. SAF listeners can save 10% off their first month with code SAF. Get started today at betterhelp.com/SAF. You'll fill out a little questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. You know where therapy stands, so go to betterhelp.com with code SAF for 10% off.
My name is Emily. I run a fat feminist meme account called Fat Baby. And it's just sort of memes that I make out of shitty and annoying experiences that fat people that go through.
Oh my gosh. What got you into making memes? Like, how did that start?
I had never, thought about it. I had never considered it. I just truly one day started. I was like, what if I just make a meme? And then it just kind of snowballed and I went into a trance and I made a bunch of them and then I started an account.
For now, Fat Baby is exclusively on Instagram, and it feels like that's really connected to the type of content she's putting out. I've noticed that even though memes are based on that fun, but also scary repetition and heightening, Instagram seems to have a lot more original memes, which maybe allows for a bit more political divergence.
I think that something so interesting is happening where there's so much social commentary and political mobilization happening on Instagram via memes. There's so many intersectional feminist meme accounts that I follow and racial justice accounts and every different type of social justice. There's great people to follow who are creating memes that kind of let you into their experience and I think kind of spread information and allow empathy for experiences that you don't understand. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Would you consider your memes comedy or more activism or both?
Both. I would like to think. Both. It honestly started as comedy. I was just kind of whatever, fucking around and just turning shitty things into funny things. But then kind of as people started engaging with it and I was like, oh, maybe this is actually an activist account. That's cool.
Yeah. Some of the function of memes right now is some of the ones you're talking about that I've seen. I don't know if I would call those memes as much as explainer, infographics with a meme overlay, you know? Yeah. Because they're not to be passed around or you can't iterate them really. They're just to be for their own explainer purpose for those other feminist accounts. But a lot of the images you use I feel are more traditionally memes in that it's someone could iterate off of them basically. Yeah. You know? What do you hope to accomplish through your memes? Is it stress relief or community building or resistance or all of those things or what?
Hopefully all of those things. I started out having absolutely zero goals or I honestly didn't think I would ever have any followers. I was just whatever, let me try this out. I'm bored. But I think as soon as I started to get like more followers and get people kind of clearly engaging in a really sincere way, I was kind of like, I have some responsibility here to this community. And so I guess my goal is just to create material that is kind of cathartic for me, but also to create like avenues for empathy and avenues for solidarity between myself and other fat people who are experiencing the same things. Then also, I didn't go into it with this goal, but like I think having it be a way that allies can learn about what behavior is shitty. Just because I've learned a lot from other meme accounts, like not fat meme accounts, but well, yes, also fat meme accounts, but just across kind of all different communities, I've learned so much about how to kind of pay attention to the ways that my privilege is playing out in the world and the types of behaviors that are anywhere from annoying to like straight up oppressive to people who with marginalized identities that I don't have. So that's huge. If I can create something that teaches someone how not to speak to their fat friend, that's great.
I love that. like I remember first seeing memes, like those image macros, like a lot of early internet / Reddit stuff. I mean, I guess that's not early internet, but for our generation, I guess early internet Reddit stuff. It felt very like, it felt in the same camp as like trying to be a cool girl with the guys memes. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lot of those memes were very like misogynist / like very like I'm horny and women suck, basically. And like it's very cool now to have these memes and like have stuff have developed in a way that I'm like, okay, cool. Now there's actually stuff that like is connecting my like millennial, very online persona with my fat activist persona. You know what I mean? I'm like, cool. I can connect these things. It doesn't have to be just like library books, which is like, you know, those are great too. But it's fun to be able to be like, yeah, like my language.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
To get to participate that way, for sure. I absolutely know what you mean. Because I used to, in the like early kind of like Reddit phase, I like hated memes. I thought they were like so annoying. And because I kind of hated that that type of like misogynist, like nerdy white dude on Reddit. And I always, felt so like alienated from that. And so I think it's so true. And it's so cool to see that like all of the kind of creators of like internet culture now, I would say are like, at least the best ones are like people with marginalized identities. Like Black Twitter is like creates like every
I know
cultural phenomenon, it feels like.
Which is interesting because it's like, you know, turned into its own problem where it's like so many Black like culture or meme creators are like not credited for their content then or whatever. Like it's just interesting how memes are just another place where the power structures of the outside world have like replicated themselves in various ways, you know?
Totally.
Which is why I really feel like fat memes have only come around in the last like year or two, honestly. It's like obviously fat activism and fat positivity have been around for a long time, but I really think this is like a new thing. Don't you think? I like never saw them before.
I never saw them before. Like I saw my friend Allison, who's like this rad fat scholar, posted like a Miss Piggy meme that was like a Twitter, like it was a photo and a tweet that was, oh my God, what was it? Oh, it was a photo of Miss Piggy like taking selfies, I think, and it's me while everyone else is dieting so they don't look like me.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and I tried to find who originally created it and I couldn't tell who exactly it was, but that was the first fat meme I had ever seen, and that was like maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And
it really feels like now there's this new, I don't want to call it a new wave because that has different connotations in feminism, but like there's like a new generation of people getting into fat activism who are, you know, much more comfortable online. And it's interesting because like historically I feel like online has been a very unsafe place for fat people to talk about stuff. And now it's like, I know that there have always been like there were live journals and there were Tumblr blogs, like Gabby Fresh used to run those, and like there were like the Fat Shinista pages and like little in community stuff, but those were like smaller, not smaller in like they weren't important way, but just like they were more private spaces, like there were places that was like all fat people or whatever. Having fat memes feels like a totally different thing that's like, oh cool, like finally it feels like fat activism or fat positivity, body positivity as like a more general sense is more mainstream in a way that's finally allowing things to become quote unquote relatable in a funny way, right? What do you think about that?
Totally. It feels so new to me. And like, even, I mean, I know the internet is still like such an unsafe space for fat people.
Yes, definitely.
In most areas. And I kind of struggled with that when I started I was like, should I make this private? Like, I don't want any assholes to come here. I think that was like partially why. No, it's not. I wanted to be anonymous so that I could be like uninhibited by everything. But partially it was also like, I know that if I also put my fat body on this page, it'll be a different thing for me, and I'm gonna have to like deal with some stuff that I don't really want to deal with.
Totally.
and that so many people are doing that, and I like respect that so much, because it's just the hatred is like so
it's crazy. I have been surprised by so far, like knock wood, the like lack of mean comments that I've gotten on Instagram. I think mostly because people follow me because they know the podcast. I'm not creating blog posts or anything, you know? And so like if they follow me, it's because they know me from my fat activist persona, and that makes it easier. And then also, like, a lot of men follow me, and I block almost every man who does follow me, and that has made my space very safe.
Nice.
I'm just like, why are you here? I don't trust you. If they're not fat, like, I mean, when I'm saying I block men, it's like a lot of times I'll get a follower that's like, Rodney, 42, his bio is a Bible quote, he's in the military, and then he has a line in there that says, like, I love fat women. And I'm like, no.
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm going to block you.
No, thank you.
You know what I mean?
No, not for me. Thank you.
No, not for me. I have plenty of, like, male followers who, I like, especially queer male followers who are, like, lovely. But, I'm not trying to be anyone's, like,
fetish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it feels gross to get those hey messages from like fetishy men, but it also feels good to hit decline and immediately block. And it feels great to not have stuff show up on my feed that I don't want to see, which is why I think so much of the body positive journey starts for a lot of people with following fat positive accounts and allowing that relatability with something like fat memes. So as fat memes get more and more popular, it makes me feel hopeful because we're finally looking at it in the face. We're finally being like, it is funny. There are a lot of hilarious things about being fat that right now I don't feel like I can make jokes about, except with other fat people, because I can't be sure that other people will laugh about it like in the right way. Emily told me that in part, that's why she's been semi-anonymous as Fat Baby. She told me until that recently, she didn't have many fat friends. So it can feel like people close to her wouldn't really understand this part of her. But she's getting ready to rip off the Band-Aid and come out as Fat Baby to her friends.
I have a master's degree in sociocultural anthropology.
Oh, cool.
And anthropology talks a lot about, like, individual and community agency and, like, the subversion of power and how people can, like, be really creative in exercising their agency and making choices and subverting power structures within, like, the different types of oppression that they experience or, like, political power that they can't really maybe change. Yeah, I think memes have a lot of, like, agentic subversive power to them because you're, like, taking experiences or taking shitty power structures and just, like, creating your own little, like, product out of it. I don't know, or your own little, like, experience and, like, humor. I think, like, there's so much, I mean, I'm sure there's, like, a lot academically that's been written about, like, the power of humor in that way. And I think memes really fit into that. And then plus there's, like, this wild component that is the internet.
Yeah.
So it's like internet humor, I think, has, like, so much interesting opportunity for, like, the subversion of power dynamics.
A lot of the, like, studies about memes have to do with, like, negative social things being replicated through them. Like, there's a lot of very clear research and, like, documentation of, for example, like, how alt-right memes lead to people being radicalized if they look at them. Literally like Clockwork Orange a little bit, where it's like if you look at too many hateful things, you start to think about it. Or, like, a lot of people if you watch those Flat Earth documentaries, they're like, oh yeah, I thought it was funny, and then I believed it. Like, holy shit. Like, you know? But I'm very curious about, like, if the same effect is true in a positive way, that if more people look at more fat memes, they might become more fat friendly or fat positive, you know? I feel like it probably works that way.
I think so.
I don't know.
I think that there's, like, totally opportunity there for like, fat positivity to spread. Because memes are so funny because they make you realize, or I guess so powerful, because they can make you realize how silly something is that you think. And you're like, oh. Like, as soon as someone kind of points it out, you're like, oh, fuck. I think they're really, they have that, like, subtle little power to do that, which I really like.
Totally. Like, I feel like most memes can be summed up. Like, if I had to zoom way out to a categorization of most memes, it would be the internet neologism lol sob, where it's like LOL. It's just like Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
like
it's
even
totally
fat memes,
true.
I feel like, except for when they're under, it's like lol sob or it's wholesome memes, which are not really that funny because they're just like about being like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, totally. The most recent meme that I did was like something that I realized that was so sad.
Do you have it up on your browser? Can you get it up too so you can explain some of it?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so the photo is a close-up face shot of the Instagrammer Mr. Krish, who used to be a Vine star. And it's just like him making this like, excuse me face. It's like so offended. And the meme text says, me scrolling through a friend's Insta, realizing how few pics they've posted of me versus thin friends they're not even as close with.
Oh my God. I shared it to my story. Sometimes I share your post to my story and then literally all the replies are just like, ow, for like hours. Like,
oh no.
She's like, everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah, some of them are a bit brutal, but yeah.
It's very real. I also had a bunch of my real life friends respond and they're like, oh my God, is this me? Did I do this? And I was like, I don't know. Do you want to examine yourself? Did you do it?
I was like, this is one of the reasons that I like staying anonymous, because I'm like, I know that my friends will just be like, feel so bad if they go through their Instagrams and see that they haven't posted anything of me. And I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, should you feel a little bad though? Like maybe, you know?
Maybe. I love you, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe. This image also, I feel like, is like, he could be like offended, but he also could be about to cry in this picture.
Yeah. His eyes are wild in this. Like, I love it.
Yes. Have you found like other fat positive meme accounts? Like, can you give us some recommendations?
I know there's one called, I believe it's Body Positive Memes. There's a lot of accounts that kind of do like a mix. Like there's Fat Goth, GAWTH, makes fat memes. A lot of them are like people's kind of personal accounts or whatever, like a hybrid of a personal account and a meme account. Or they'll make memes about other stuff too. I don't think seen any other ones that are just dedicated to making fat memes. But there's some amazing account. Like I love, there's so many cool fat accounts. I love Historical Fat People is a favorite. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that account. There's another one that's like Fat Art Gallery that's kind of similar, that's like sharing paintings and stuff with fat subjects. Oh, Fat Mermaids makes kind of like those infographic type memes sometimes.
We'll link all of those in the show notes, along with memes for validation and fat babies, so you can start filling up your feed with some dank fat memes. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm very excited to see your account grow. I hope it grows in a way that is safe and healthy for you and not with a lot of mean stuff. Is there anything else you want to say to the listeners in general?
Like, if you want to make fat memes, make them. If you want to make any other type of fat content, make it. Because I think there is like, it's kind of an exciting time to be fat right now.
Yeah.
With like Shrill and Lizzo and like Dumplin' and like kind of, it's like we're just getting into the mainstream, and I think there's so much opportunity for like cool creative fatties to like make cool shit and put it out there. So I just encourage people to do that.
So there you have it, family. We've solved the question of, is being fat funny? Just kidding. We've given you a little intro to fat memes. To wrap up the episode, I'm going to let you hear my favorite audio memes with absolutely no context, and you'll hear from us again next Thursday. In the show notes are some more resources, of course, and the favorite meme accounts of the creators we interviewed today. Bye!
Somebody touch my spaghetti! How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion!
I told my apple care that I could walk in the store and get the part!
A leopard on all levels except physical. I am a wolf.
And that's our show. She's All Fat was created by me, Sophie Carter Khan, and the iconic April K. Quio, who is on a break this season. You know what she said to me the other day, though, was,
"There's not wood to be chopped outside."
We are an independent production. If you'd like to support the work we do, you can join our Patreon by visiting patreon.com/SHESALLFATpod. When you pledge to be a supporter, you'll get all sorts of goodies and extra content. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to the stuff we mentioned today, and don't forget to send us your questions via email or voice recording to fyi@shesalfatpod.com. Please make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's super important in making sure people find the show. If you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we'll give you a shout out on the pod next week. Our theme music was composed and produced by Carolyn Pennypacker Riggs. Our website was designed by Jesse Fish, and our logo is by Britt Scott. This episode was co-produced and edited by Maria Wortel. Our junior producer is Lynn Barbera. Our lovely, amazing new interns are Freya Solander and Yeli Cruz. I am our host and co-producer. Our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter handles are @She'sAllFatPod. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Bye!
3A seemed like I was whining, which was the tone I wanted.
It's like the exclamation point in an email problem where you're like, how many is the right... What's the right tone that doesn't sound absolutely off the wall?
Yeah, exactly.